Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and I want to talk about 3 teams that I think are criminally underrated and undervalued in Galaxy of Heroes. So, one of these teams, I know people are going to say, oh, they're not underrated, but I'm going to explain why I think they're underrated. But these are teams that I use a lot. I get such good use out of them, especially, I would say, at lower gear. That's one of the big things for me is like a team that I think players kind of don't always rate without a ton of gear. So I want to share these teams. They're ones that I would consider staples for my success, not only in Grand Arena, but in Conquest, in like galactic challenges. Territory battles obviously is a lot different because you need that Relic 5 requirement. So you'll see that none of these teams are really going to meet that threshold. But I want to share them nonetheless. I think they're fantastic teams. So we're going to do that, but first and foremost, I got to thank my channel members so much for their continued support. If you're interested in joining, there's a link down below. Otherwise, all I can ask, guys, is hit that thumbs up button to like this video and subscribe. Really would appreciate if you guys could continue subscribing to this channel. We've grown so much, and I cannot thank you all enough for just where this channel is now, especially where it was last year at this time. So, let's get right in. So the first team on this list is the Sisters of Dathomir, our Nightsisters. This team is unbelievably good. I beat a lot of fully relic teams in GAC with this. I mean, they'll beat General Grievous. I've beat some like resistance teams. If they have Zori, it's a lot harder with my gear levels, but like I've beat plenty of resistance teams. You know, particularly I'd say if they don't have like the resistance heroes on that team, your Nightsisters are a shoo-in. But like General Grievous teams, I've beat Geonosian teams with this. They're just a solid team. The core aspect of this team is having a very high relic DACA. Now, it sounds kind of crazy, but why do you want this high relic DACA is because she's the one that can revive the entire team, right? Revive a random defeated Nightsister or ally, right? With a 35% chance doubled on Nightsisters to revive other defeated allies at 1 health. I mean, that's just, she's basically going to revive almost every single Nightsister all the time. It's amazing. But the reason you want her at relics is because she gains a ton of max health, and then during her unique ability here, right? So she gains turn meter when an ally is defeated, and the cooldown of her revive is reduced, right? When another ally is revived while she's active, the revived ally gains this, right? And old DACA gains 10% max health stacking until the end of the encounter. So your DACA will have an extremely high health pool at the end of the encounter if she's alive while everybody's dying. And so with General Grievous, what actually happens is he will just like decimate the entire team here. He'll like kill everyone except DACA. She brings everybody back. He'll kill them all again. She brings everybody back. And by the end, she's got like this just stupidly high health pool. With Marin now, they're great at banner recovery. I don't even have the Omicrons on this team. But in Conquest is where these characters really shine. If you can go up against some like single fire, like go to teams that don't have like an AoE ability, because you don't want your entire team dying all the time, but if you can go to teams like that, oh my gosh, these guys, the Nightsisters crush. They crush because you're guaranteed 3 stars all the time because DACA's just going to keep reviving everyone. Doesn't matter as they die. As long as DACA's alive, your team's coming back. This is a fantastic team and really effective with lower gear. You think like a single relic on DACA, getting a few relics on DACA is not a big ask for a lot of players. And if you're at lower gear levels, you think you could do this with gear 12. Marin does require Kyrotech, right? She's a newer character, but even if you keep her lower, you have these guys, I mean, you're going to be fine. Maya Sage's relics from General Skywalker event. I definitely didn't need them, but I did it. But yeah, this is a highly underrated team. I think a lot of players kind of skip over them. They aren't needed for anything, right? Like mostly, your Asajj is a General Skywalker requirement, and Marin is a Jedi Knight Cal requirement. But Talzin, DACA, Zombie, you don't. They're just side farms. They're things that you don't really need for anything. But they're such a great team, and I think they're really undervalued by the community because I think when I look at them, I mean, you're talking about me using them at GAC at this gear level at 9.4 million. I mean, they're just phenomenal. All right, the Darth Trya team. I'm going to get some flack for this because everybody's going to be like, oh, no, they're not underrated. What are you talking about? I use them in GAC all the time. This team is way more valuable to you than just GAC. I think everybody's just like, oh, I need them for GAC. This is a great team in Territory Wars. This is a great team in Conquest and Galactic Challenges. These characters at Gear 12 can help you get to the assault battle, get through the assault battle. If you don't believe me, I did it with Gear 12s. I got to Tier 2, Challenge Tier 2 of that assault battle with Gear 12, Trya, Nihilus, and Scion. I was able to do that. It was just, they have fantastic kits. This is such an amazing team. And with their Omicron GAC, obviously they're amazing. But they are so much more valuable to you. They were staples in my Geonosis territory battles. You really learn how to use them. You learn how their kits work and what, the best ways to get, the best stuff out of them. But I think so often we only talk about building them for GAC that players don't realize just how useful they are to you in all these other aspects. One of my favorite things to mention here is that Trya is a support, Nihilus is a support, and Scion's a tank. So whenever you go in G8 and your Conquest and it's like, oh, win without any attackers in your team, well, these three are not attackers. And this is a squad that yes, you're not going to get great banners a lot of times because they don't have protection recovery, but they've got great survivability that you don't always need that protection recovery, right? They've got great survivability on their own. So a team that I highly recommend you build at some point, because again, you're going to get a lot more use out of them than just GAC. And sometimes I think players kind of forget that. We build, I'm guilty of it too, where I'm just like, oh, there's such a great thing in GAC, or oh, this character is like Territory Wars. But both of these teams so far, and even in the third one that's coming, they are things that I use in every game mode. And that I think is very important. I think we've kind of moved away from trying to build stuff that's good everywhere and just try to focus on like a singular game mode. And then you get into your Conquest or your territory battles and you start struggling because you haven't built anything that's actually useful there. So the final team here, guys, is General Grievous. This team is I love this team. You'll notice that I left your fifth slot, your fourth and fifth slots open here and your fifth slot open here. I do this very intentionally where I try to call out the core members of a team and then leave the last slots open to you. Because I don't want you watching this and then saying, okay, I have to put this character here, or this character here, or this character here. I want you to understand that those spots are open intentionally, that you can mix and match and find out what's going to work best for you. So in this team up here, right, and I'll just kind of go back up here for a second. I mean, you could look at Sith Empire Trooper, Darth Talon, Count Dooku, Darth Sith, like whatever you have available, Sith you have available can go over in here and you're fine. Down here with the General Grievous team, I mean, you're looking at characters like Wat Tambor, Newt Gunray, BB-8, Droideka. There's a couple of characters that really work well in this last slot. But where this team, I think, really shines is the fact that in, like, GAC, they can punch up really, really high. Territory Wars, they can punch up. But in Conquest and some of these other PvE game modes, they are unbelievably valuable. You can do a lot with these guys. In Conquest, one of my favorite things that I can do is I'll put Wat Tambor in here, and I can just completely start running a turn meter train on them. There's a lot of turn meter. There's a lot of control on this team. You can manipulate really, really well. And it's another really easy 3-star thing. Get your droid surviving. When you need droid kills, boom. You throw Wat Tambor in here, he's not going to kill anyone, so you're going to get your droid kills. Oh, you need to win with a full team of droids? Go throw Droideka in here. A lot of times I think this is a team that players are kind of more hesitant to build because if you're not building General Skywalker, you don't need these Separatist droids. But they are a phenomenal team and I think really, really give you a good base to build from. These are all three teams that I would kind of say like in the farming guide, right? If you've been following along in the farming guide, right? These are teams that you kind of build up on the side. You'll notice that like they're not on here, right? I think the General Grievous team might be down here whenever I tell you to go build like General Skywalker, right? But these are teams that you build up on the side of your roster. You don't worry about trying to get them together all at once, right? Just build the pieces slowly over time. You get one of them, you get two of them, you get three of them, and you'll find that your roster just like skyrockets in viability because you'll be like, man, I don't know how to clean up this team. Oh, I've got this General Grievous droids, or I've got my Nightsisters, or I've got Sith Trio. So I want to share these three teams. I think they're just criminally underrated. I think a lot of players don't realize just how good they are. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys are like, no, they're perfectly rated, Phil. But I think everybody kind of looks at like your Nightsisters and they're like, oh yeah, they're really great against Jabba, not realizing that like this is a team that will just destroy Conquest for you. And it's the 3-star for me, that like the guaranteed 3 stars on that node. And with your General Grievous team, I think where a lot of players kind of forget is, when you see those things where it's like win with a full team of droids and you're like, oh my gosh, like I don't have Shorty, or I don't have, like, General Grievous guys, hello. And then you're, win with no attackers in your team. I mean, these guys are key. Like, these are just great Conquest teams. They're great teams in a lot of game modes that I think we so often look at like a singular purpose for them and not the full picture of what they can do for you. So you guys let me know if you think that these teams are perfectly rated, but I always feel like they're underrated. I feel like players, they watch like these, you watch Arnold. I'm not saying that Arnold's bad, like, but you watch Arnold and you're like, oh yeah, the Nightsisters are great at beating Jabba. But I don't have to face Jabba, so I don't need my Nightsisters. There's plenty more reasons to build your Nightsisters. They are awesome. So these are 3 teams I love. You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Please like, subscribe, comment. I love all you. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.